will turn my volume up. I will turn y'all's volume up. And we will come here. And greetings and so. Alright. Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. We missed last week. We apologize for missing last week of our Around the Hearth, but people couldn't make it, so we didn't do it. First off, as always, our disclaimer and announcements. So always less than 5 minutes. You can time me. Here we go. Disclaimer. This is an adult podcast that sometimes features adults that sometimes use adult language. You have been warned. This, both the Inn of Planar Crossroads and Black Dragon Gaming have their Patreon going. So at $50 a month, the Inn of Planar Crossroads will give away a rulebook. At $100 a month, if we hit that threshold with the patrons, we will give away a special edition Pathfinder 2E core rulebook for the playtest. So, light on it. There you go. Still in the plastic wrap if you want to have that satisfaction of going with it yourself. Our current video chat is going to be our Around the Hearth about continuing our kind of long-form review of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the playtest of it. We're going to make it to starting on classes this time. Our next subscriber appreciation one-shot will be at 400. Colin has volunteered to run that game, so if you are interested in that and want to get in on that, now's the time. Get us up to 400. We are at we're only about 30-something away. So, there you go. Our monthly giveaway monthly giveaway in a week. Our monthly giveaway this month is going to be a Hero Forge, or at least a portion, if you want to get a higher grade Hero Forge, a Hero Forge gift cert of some kind for you, the winner. Whichever one of the patrons want to get that. So we will do that drawing at the end of the month, which is approaching quickly. So it might be out before this is out. So best get on it. As far as the audiobook project, we will probably start releasing videos soon of that audiobook project for the Pathfinder 2nd Edition playtest, beginning in September. It's going to depend a lot on how fast we can get those recorded, edited, redone, and then put onto the re-rendered and then put onto there for you. I've started putting some on the YouTube the channel so that it will be behind the scenes ready and waiting for when we're ready to release those. But they will be out soon enough. And that was less than 5 minutes. So let's begin, guys. We are going to be talking about classes for the 2nd edition of Pathfinder, at least the playtest of it. And we're starting right here at the class page, on page, for those following along, 42. And first off, I gotta say, I said it before and I'll say it again, I like the little icons. They're cute and they work. I like the icons.
The Pathfinder Alchemist artwork, the more that I look at it, the more that I actually like the Goblin. Me as a player and as a GM, I have a thing for cute, adorable monster races.
Yeah. So ugly, they're cute. Alright. Well, first off, the class thing starts off by giving you a little bit of flavor text, which I believe was read by Kane, if I remember right. So we're going to have that in our audiobook. Some of them it is.
I read all the headers. There's a couple more I have to send, but doing 15 of them at once takes me 5 minutes.
Yeah, fair enough. So there's that. I like the new icons. That's what they are. I like the icons for the different classes. It goes in, it tells you how to read the entries, tells you about playing the class, role-playing the class, key ability, which actually is a thing that we'll talk about as we get to each one of them. Your hit points influence your class. Your class hit points influences how many hit points you get, which I do like. That's something that I've grown to appreciate after playing Starfinder. Kane thought it was good in Starfinder. I believe he did. and I came around to that as well.
I've always liked the health buffer. I will always advocate for the first level health buffer.
Yeah, fair enough.
I definitely like the classes having their own hit point, so I don't need to worry about playing the very one hit kill wizards anymore.
Well, wizards are still pretty squishy.
I mean, they are quite the glass cannon, but they are not as much of a glass cannon as they used to be.
Yeah, you should last more than one round at first level, depending on what you're facing.
Even the wizards and sorcerers are probably running around at first level with somewhere between, like 12 and 15 hit points, maybe?
It would be about somewhere between 8 to 12 on average, based upon the race.
Yeah, because elves are really squishy. Speaking as someone who's playing an elf.
Goblins.
But you get proficiencies with your class, you get signature skills, which I'm sure we'll talk about again, even though we've went over skills. It's got an advancement table, which the advancement table that they're using in the second edition, I like more than the advancement table they used in the other editions. We can say why when we get there. Talks about your class features, the class feats, which are unique things for your class, skill feats, general feats, and then skill increases and ability boosts, followed by any kind of ancestry feats that might work in that. But that's mainly the overview of the way the book works. So let's go ahead and get to the Alchemist so you guys can remark on how you liked the layout. So,
tell us what you liked about the formatting.
Yeah. But Donald's already said he likes the art for Fumbus. How about Kane and Levi? What do you think of the art for Fumbus?
We got this big art book sketch of Fumbus and his terrifying goggle eyes.
And his smile's, equally disturbing, I'm sure.
If you could call that a smile.
Yeah, I feel like at that point he's just sort of always like smiling.
He's a happy guy.
Monster races, when I see them smile, part of me knows that they are actually smiling, but I do not know if there was malice behind that adorable smile.
He looks like there's always like low key, just a high pitched whine coming out of his mouth, just like.
He's the screaming. He's the screaming sun from, what is it, Rick and Morty, as it comes over the sunrise. It's just he's closer or farther away, depending.
Yeah, it's a constant pitch. The volume is entirely dependent upon how close to him you are.
The formatting for the class and for the book, I definitely like it. It is definitely better than some of the other previous editions when it comes to tabletop books for how things are laid out for a class.
Mm-hmm. I like the sidebar that they use for the way they present the key ability, the hit points, proficiencies, as far as what you're trained in and what you're not, and stuff like that. I think the playing the Alchemist is kind of enough. I'm not sure they needed the role-playing the Alchemist part and what others think about you part. That seems kind of
I think
necessary.
That's still in there for the same reason the section in the book that's like, what is a role-playing game, is in there, because they have to include sections in the book that are like, well, what if this is someone's first RPG?
Well, if it is, I'm not sure that you would. I mean, with the way people play alchemists and the way they're described, it's a person picks an alchemist because of a certain expectation, and these don't always meet what's presented here. So,
with all the tabletop books I looked at, most of them have a beginner's guide feel to a certain point to help the new players in. Previous players of the previous edition or veteran players that know the class, they don't need don't need the beginner's information to help them build a class build effectively.
Yeah, I know. Like Kane says, I know why they did it. I just think that playing an alchemist, I liked the playing an alchemist part because they give you an explanation of what you're probably doing in combat, what you're probably doing in social encounters, what you're probably doing in exploration mode, and what you're probably doing in downtime mode. So, I mean, they kind of cover any kind of new character. Oh, he made it. They kind of cover any new character, new player stuff in that. We are on the Alchemist.
Hey, just noticed I was here. I've been here for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was listening and making sure volumes were right.
He was doing the show, dang it!
Dagnabbit!
I think they have some misused space here on the bar on the right where it lists the key ability save and the saving throws and the signature skills and all that. Because I think they have all this white space underneath it. They could have put just quick reference stuff like, you know, when you get feats, what your class feats are, and
like
things
the
like that. I
the
think
advancement thing. The advancement table.
No, not the advancement table. They have this little like quick reference bar here, and I feel like there's this white space here that could be used for something other than like class feature text.
Fair.
Yeah, the problem with that though is like if you skip up ahead to the bard, most of that white space is gone with everything they list.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't be uniform anymore.
With the classes, based upon the amount of information that is in a playtest for the class, it varies for the amount of empty space for each class.
That's true. So that's kind of the presentation of it. What do you guys think of the actual context of this first page of going through them? I like the sidebar. It seems really concise, and I like the other stuff and can accept the idea of the role playing an alchemist as a kind of general help. But other than that,
I mean, I like the sidebar. I think it gives you that's half your character right there. Like if you're just creating a first level dude, that's like probably a solid 60% of all the boxes you're gonna check.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Lee.
Yeah. No, I was agreeing with you. It makes sense. It's easy to read. And Levi.
Levi.
Yeah,
Jesus,
Levi,
you did this
man.
last time too.
At least you got an L this time.
Yeah.
And it was Lee.
I didn't try to call you Modoc.
It's very true. That'd been interesting.
Built
All right.
only
I don't
for
think-
conquest.
So I like that the key ability is intelligence. The 8 hit points per plus con seems appropriate. And it's getting there, Kane. And
Oh fuck! I got whiskey in my lungs.
I know you're wanting it in your blood, but that's kind of a hard way to do it,
That's
man.
the most effective method is to just aerate it into my what do you call those things in your lungs?
Areoli?
Yes.
All right. Anyway, trained in perception. Everybody's trained in perception from what I remember.
Well, a couple people are expert in it, I think, at the very beginning.
Yeah,
I think
I meant
rogues-
that everybody was basically.
At least.
At least.
Yeah, I think it was rogues and maybe monks.
That makes sense from what I remember so far of reading.
You know, I would kind of think that alchemists would have a little bit better perception than a lot of classes, though.
Nah, your goggles are all
That's the
covered in
reflex.
smoke and...
Yeah, that's probably true. But you would think that in order to be an alchemist, you'd have to have a keen eye for like the quantities and ratios of certain ingredients to make your bombs.
Well, I think that's like being cognitive of what you're doing when you're doing it is different than knowing when someone's sneaking up on you.
And a lot of times you just more need to know like the weights of the things and like have measuring lines.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Which is
We're
why
in
it's
uncharted
intelligence.
territory here. Basically, I've got a grease pencil and a beaker and a whole lot of hope.
And actually, for a lot of it, rather than actually being good at alchemy, they just throw their resonance in on it.
That's probably how Fumbus makes most of his stuff. I'm sure his name has some kind of story behind it.
It's real close to Fumbles.
Yeah.
That's why his eyes look like that. He actually doesn't have eyelids. Those goggles are protecting his eyes.
Yeah,
Burned
they
them off.
periodically drip saline solution onto his dry little goblin orbs.
Yeah. That sounds like a
It fits the
Guillermo
art.
del Toro animatronic.
Yeah. It's very like a dark ass Guillermo del Toro film.
The expert in fortitude makes sense. Reflex, I guess, and being trained.
Jumping
in
away from your own explosions.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah,
real
very
sense for
necessary.
Fumbus.
Expert in fortitude and reflex save makes sense, especially working in a lab like environment.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense that they get a little less on their skills. They do this. They did this in first edition, where the ones that are investing most in intelligence are probably going to get a lesser buff. Looking at it though, I'm kind of not sure how I feel about it, because you've got their signature skills are only 3, which is Arcana, Crafting, and Medicine, which I guess makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
They should get trained lore. Do they get trained lore alchemy? I don't know.
Not automatically.
Nope.
No.
See, they should, in my opinion.
Well, they should. That should be some feedback they get I suppose on top of the feedback we had before about maybe making your signature skills a little more
Robust.
Yeah, or
Although-
building blocky.
Yeah.
Actually, Alchemist is the one that is closest in that. Okay, we haven't gotten to their class feats, but they do have class feats that give them new signature skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty
I
sure
mean-
Alchemist is the only one I found who does that.
I haven't read one, and I've read all the way through Monk and have been editing the others. So,
Oh, maybe I misremembered.
well, I mean, what I'm saying is, if they get it, they get other skill feats, I believe, like you're saying. But I mean, signature skills through feats, like you're saying. But what I'm mentioning is that you are probably correct in that that no other class gets that, to my understanding
Okay.
and remembrance.
Okay.
But still, 3 signature skills on a intelligence-based class doesn't seem.
Yeah, and also having only 2 plus int seems a little low, considering that, normally if you max out your int as an alchemist, you're going to have +4 to int, so that'd be 4, 5, 6, whereas
Well, you could get up to an 18, which is a +3.
which is a
So you could have
Plus
5.
four.
+4.
We're
Yeah,
not
that's what I
playing
said.
AD&D.
5.
I know you're older than the rest of us, but
So that's a total of 6 skills at most you could start with, whereas a sorcerer gets 5 plus int, so all they need is really 12 in int in order to get the same number of skills as an alchemist would, which seems a little odd
Well,
to
I
me,
think
considering the
that's-
sorcerer is more based off of just intuition rather than intelligence.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but I think they're trying to keep the skill discrepancy a little more even.
Oh yeah,
I mean-
absolutely. I think it should be at least 3 though for the
I mean,
alchemist.
that argument might fall apart when we get to the fighter, because strangely enough, I haven't actually gone through the fighter much yet.
Yeah. They do get several. But so far, if they bump up the amount of signature skills, like we talked about before when we were talking about skills, it might be better. Arcana, Crafting, and Medicine seem like, I don't know why they get Arcana. I know why, but
magic.
they're not using magic to make their items. So
well, they are, because alchemy is inherently like magical.
I mean,
Like,
they've tried to
there's
remove that
magic
aspect.
involved. I know, but it's like it's magic in. Well, maybe occult would have made more sense actually, but the alchemy is magical. It's just not magical in the same way that like a sorcerer or a wizard is magical.
well,
It's much more subtle and subdued.
well, their flavor specifically calls out and says, others probably, and then it says, think that you're some kind of sorcerer or eccentric wizard and don't understand that you're not a spellcaster. Real spellcasters clumsily dabbling in alchemy only heighten this misconception. They're trying to make it really, really clear that you are not a spellcaster.
Well, yeah, but you're not. But they also say you're not a real spellcaster. You're a fake spellcaster, but you're still a spellcaster.
Well, it says you are not a spellcaster, but yes, I understand what you're meaning, Kane. You're accomplishing magical type stuff with what you're doing, and you're investing your resonance in it. But
yeah, I feel like nature would make a lot more sense for the alchemists and arcana.
I don't know,
because you're essentially taking down the properties of items, like natural items, and combining them into stuff.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
If you wanted to do something like Kane is mentioning, where you wanted to have a focus more on the magical part of this concoction, and you're just using that as a focusing agent, then maybe they should get a choice between arcana, occult, or nature.
I kind of like that.
Because that wouldn't be the only class that they do that with, because you're there's things like it later on in the book, because they talk about how your key powers for the monk are treated either as divine magic or occult magic.
Is it divine and occult, or is it arcane and occult?
It's divine and occult.
It's divine.
I was surprised that occult was the other one.
Occult, I could understand based upon the order of the monk.
Yeah.
So that's that first page of the Alchemist. Yeah, I like this table 3-1, and all of the classes have this. I like this because this is the only table you need to look at when you're making your character.
Yep.
Having a chart like that, it's very, very easy to level a character up quickly within a few minutes max.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I've been playing first edition for as long as I have, but it never takes me more than a few minutes to level up a character as is.
Yeah, there you go, Kane. You just tout that around. You just be proud of yourself. All of the rest of us that have to take.
The system's only been out for 20 fucking years.
Adam, another signature skill before we move on to the other part of the class, medicine. That could easily be switched out for another skill based upon what type of alchemist you are.
I don't know. I don't know what you'd necessarily switch it out with.
Most of the alchemists I seen played, they are not the healer type alchemist. So having medicine replace something else that fits the scene would be more appropriate, such as occult, with religion or something like that based upon scene.
Yeah.
Well, this just comes back to what we were talking about earlier about making signature skills more modular. Even if they just increased it to a broader list from which you could pick instead of being like, I want this one, and this one out of the full list, I think would be a little more satisfactory than assigning you a set chunk of signature skills for your class.
Yeah. All right. So I like next page. I like the advancement table. I like that it's right there. Kane can be proud of his quick leveling, but it takes me forever to level.
Just get good, scrub boy.
Just get good, scrub. Good. But other than that, now we can start talking about their actual features.
Okay, so let's start with quick alchemy, because the biggest piece of contention that I keep hearing about from certain people is how resonance works with the alchemist. And quick alchemy is the first ability that does that. You spend a resonance point, and you make a single common alchemical item of your level or lower without having to spend the normal monetary cost or needing to attempt a crafting check. I mean, if you have a couple days of downtime, you get resonance back every day. You could just stockpile that junk up. It's really a matter of having a free week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, quick alchemy is just there to get you out of a pinch, really. It's like what Rod did in Starfinder.
I know it becomes a nerd effect eventually, but
quick alchemy, if it's used right, I can see it being very useful. In one game, I seen a player use something like that in Money, and we were facing trolls and monsters that had the have the regen power until you actually kill them using fire or acid. So quick alchemy would be useful against monsters like that, making holy water or acid or something like that to permanently kill a creature.
It at least gives you something of your level, which is good for the resonance point. Yeah. Were you going to say something, Levi?
Not as of yet. I am double reading over the feature to make sure of a thing before I say it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, the way I said it wouldn't exactly work, because the stuff you make with it does become inert after a round. It was really just a thought. But
no. But advanced alchemy doesn't become inert that soon.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You can, as far as I can tell, you can spend 1 resonance point during your hour in the morning of prepping stuff to create an alchemical item. And seeing as alchemical items are almost always of the consumable variety, you can create 2 for that 1 resonance point. And I have yet to find a thing stating how long it lasts, leading me to assume that it does not go away.
And when do you get quick alchemy? Or, I mean, when do you get advanced alchemy?
Oh, that's advanced alchemy and quick alchemy are gotten at the same time. Like, this is level 1. Like, if you go class features, advanced alchemy, first thing on the opening page.
Yeah, it is
quick alchemy. The first part. First, during your daily preparations, you can create items for which you have the formulas. Creating items this way requires spending 1 resonance point to create a batch of alchemical items of that type with the infused trait. You select how many items are in a batch, up to half the normal, which is typically 2.
Okay.
You don't need to attempt a crafting check, and you ignore the number of days typically required. The requirements of alchemical reagents, you can't overspend resonance during your daily preparations.
Right. Which is still
and
something
then
to point
second,
out
you
for
can do
those.
quick alchemy.
Oh, right, yeah. You can tell I have not read this class before today.
Yep.
Yeah, the weird thing about that is that resonance points are mostly based on charisma, to my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah, but with the Alchemist, you get studied resonance, which allows you to calculate them off your intelligence modifier instead.
Yes.
Is that right away?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's actually right in the advancement table.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Now, there is the problem of spending all of your resonance points to make a fistful of Alchemist fire flasks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are other things in here that allow you to create items that are where the resonance is later refunded to you. I'm almost certain I read something like that earlier, or I had a very vivid dream of a player handbook.
Well, with how much time we spend in it, I'm not so sure which one it might be.
Yeah, I'm not ruling out the dream. I'm just saying I think I read something.
Oh, okay. So I found out the limit to this. They get the infused trait, and those only last 24 hours.
Okay.
So you can only make them during your preparations, but they don't last past a day. Okay.
No, an infused
that was
one
the thing
doesn't cost resonance points, though. You can do it for free, basically.
Well, but the idea, right, is that to
bad.
make it, you make it in the morning, and you spend the resonance points on them at the beginning of the day. instead of during the time.
The advanced alchemy and quick alchemy, based upon how much downtime you have, I can see that being very useful, especially if you need to heal the party up quickly.
So
it can be helpful.
Does it say you can only spend 1 resonance point to make half a batch worth of things in the morning?
You don't make half a batch. You make one thing, and then as you get stronger, I believe you can make more. You make 2.
He was saying with the advanced
half a
alchemy,
typical
as
batch.
part of your morning preparations, you can make half a batch.
That's where I was confusing myself. Half a batch is 2 items.
Which is different from quick alchemy, which you do later in the day.
A full batch is 4 items.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely something that is good for the Alchemist in certain ways. I see the Alchemist being pretty... based on the fact that you get your resonance off your intelligence, you're not really going to run out of resonance a lot, especially as you level up, because you're getting your level as well as your intelligence modifier. You're getting... you also can overspend resonance points. People complain about, what if I don't have enough?
Not for making.
Not for these. Items. Yeah, not for these. But for other items, if you absolutely had to use it, you could try and use it without using, by overspending your resonance points. If you got in a real pinch.
But I might make the argument here at first level, because we've been playing Broken Universe for a couple weeks now, and Cashew has yet to use any resonance points for anything, and I have like twice as many as anybody else in the party.
Well, you have to invest in any magical items you get. So
yeah, because we don't have any invested equipment yet. But what I'm saying is at really low levels, when you're not going to have that many resonance points, if you're first level and you have 5 resonance because you have an 18 intelligence and plus your level is 1. Why are you're just spending all of that resonance because you're not using it for anything else?
Right.
The issue when it comes to resonance for the level, it is situational. How much do you actually need to use?
Well, if you're an alchemist, you get to use. You can just use it as you absolutely need. Like, you're going to invest in your magical gear as you get it, but you're going to get magical gear as you level up, and as you level up, your resonance will go up, which means, like Kane's saying, you're not going to run out at low levels, or you shouldn't, because you shouldn't have anything you're automatically investing in the morning. Except
in higher powered games, you might have magical items that you start with. Maybe they're heirlooms or something you got from your family, but generally speaking, like Adam said, I don't think you're going to have any invested equipment to worry about.
Yeah.
And I don't see anywhere in here that it says you can only spend 1 resonance point during your daily preparation, so you could just burn 2 or 3 of them to make 6 of something at first level.
Yeah.
Which may or may not satisfy your desire to huck fire at dudes.
Yeah. Well, you start moving on from that before we get tangled in another thing about resonance and bombs and stuff, and moving on to other things about bombs. You get... at second level, you start getting your skill feats, which is for every class. You get empowered bombs at 3rd, which lets you basically scale your bombs up, because alchemists are still based around bombs for damage. And it's not shabby damage. It's pretty good. At 3rd level, you're doing 2d6, and then 2 persistent. If you're using 2 persistent fire damage and 1 splash. So, if you catch somebody on fire, that's not bad.
So your bombs, as an alchemist in 2nd edition, are consumable items that you craft ahead of time, like alchemist fire, or are these like bombs in 1st edition, where they were a wholly separate class-specific thing?
It says when you craft an alchemical item with the bomb and infused traits.
Okay.
So it's in the equipment section.
Yeah.
And you can choose like ice bombs or alchemist fire.
And they word
electricity one.
They word it that way because I believe they will have feats for letting you Like, people that aren't alchemists can also do alchemy with a proper feat. Proper general feat, I think it is.
Yeah.
So
alchemical crafting.
there you go. So you can do that.
It advances at a rate of 2d6 at 3rd, 3d6 at 7th, 4d6 at 11th, 5d6 at 15th, and 66 at 19.
Now, that's 6 times. The firebomb specifically does a d6, but certain bombs do a d4, and that'll become 6d4. And I think at least one bomb does a d8, and that will go up to 6d8.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's an excellent point. And in the future, there might be ways to mess with that with things like in first edition, you see stuff like unstable accelerant, which increases the d6 damage of your bombs in first edition. We might see something like that in second edition, where it increases the base damage of a bomb by like a damage die, and that'll be super valuable at later levels because it would increase from a 1d6 to 66. Instead, it would increase from 2d6 to 12d6.
Well, you do get to play with the damage in your class feats that you start getting.
Okay, but, even then, because we haven't gotten to class feats yet, but there might be mechanical ways in class feats, like you said, to do it, or there might be equipment that'll help you do that.
Yeah. With the way they're focusing on crafting, I really hope they delve a bit more into the ideas of using this from this. Like using the eye of a young red dragon will give you extra fire damage, or a salamander. Using the eye of the salamander monster will give you extra fire damage, or something like that.
Yeah, there's a couple different sources you could go for. Maybe this is speculation because it's homebrew. But if you watch a series on YouTube called Tales from My D&D Campaign, the way he runs teleportation magic is a little more specific, because the only way you can set up a portal or set up like gate-like spells that teleport you from one place to another, you have to have some sort of powerful magical focus. And in one case, they use the central eye of a beholder.
Oh.
Which crystallizes, I think, over and becomes like the teleporting focus of that spell. And it didn't get used up, which I thought was interesting, because they used the teleportation magic once, and they could quick travel back to that eye with a teleportation spell whenever they wanted.
Oh, it's like a get out of dodge. All right. Well, that aside, you start getting general feats at 3rd. Skill increases at 3rd, as every class does. Mutagen crafting starts at 5th. So mutagens are built into the base class, which is okay.
The mutagens were always built into the base class, but they're not a first level ability, which is what some people were griping about, is that you had to wait till 5th before you could take DCP.
Yeah.
Ninth level expanded resonance. That's pretty nice once you get past that level using your resonance points.
Yeah, at 5th level you get the basic
when using
things
quick alchemy. But yeah, even then that will definitely increase your ability to just sort of whip up things and come out there, do whatever you're gonna do.
For some very essential quick fix items at that level, I can see expanded resonance being extremely useful from 9th level onward potentially.
Yeah, with the expanded resonance, you could definitely do that with the double. The double elixir is potentially powerful. It is good based upon what elixirs are. Elixirs require require resonance to use for yourself or anybody else, but they're still good because they're basically like your crafting potions, like you did in first edition. And anybody can use them with the elixir trait. So anything you see with the elixir trait can be used by someone else. So any spell effect you want to equip or want to give.
I want to call out real quick. No more beating around the bush. Tiki, you and I had a very brief argument about thermite earlier, and I made the clerical error of not understanding that thermite was the name of the chemical reaction, not the name of the compound. How do you have a way that you run thermite in your games? Does it have a mechanical usage that you think you could lay down some knowledge on me about? But that aside, how would you implement something like a super glue mixture introduced to borax? Because borax instantly, or well, not instantly, but like near instantly hardens superglue solutions. Do you think that would best be represented in something like a Tanglefoot bag, or if it could be implemented differently in some sort of glue solution that hardens around a specially treated object, or that you introduce to something and then hit with a borax solution and that's what causes the hardening? How would you implement some real world science that may or may not be denoted in the book? Or anybody else who's watching, how would you? Can we get our chemists involved? How would you implement sort of these interesting real world reactions that, like, we know for a fact can be replicated in a modern kitchen in your fantasy game?
For the very simple solvent solution, as long as you have the resources, I would generally allow most simple chemical reaction to happen, like baking powder and vinegar or something like that, to have a blinding effect if it's in if it's used in a massive amount to cover your retweeting party or something like that.
You'd need a lot of baking powder for that.
It is a lot, but it's one use. I actually used it in a game. A player bought a lot of baking powder and vinegar, and I asked him why, and then I saw later in the section, I see why now.
I suppose you would definitely need a lot of vinegar and baking powder to do anything, but you get.
Well, the question is, would the character even know to do certain, like vinegar and baking soda? An alchemist would definitely know how to do, but if it's something more complex, it might be. You might like base it as like give them a formula in the formula book maybe for it if they want to bring it to your attention. Treat it like as an uncommon formula or something.
Yeah, maybe because
their own
like
formula.
for the instance I brought up, like you have to A, know what super glue is, and B, know what borax is.
Yeah.
Well, borax has been around a long time, but superglue not as much.
Yeah. Super glue, would be a little more difficult to figure out.
One chemical solution, which is not that hard to find, it would be the chemical components to the components that actually cause zinc to rust, and then having that as a chemical solution to use in game. Or
I think liquid rust is actually a thing that may have existed in first edition.
It would be rust powder or something like that existed in one. I know I used something like it once in a one shot.
I mean, maybe Adam would be the person to ask about this. I know we're not cutting up dead guys to make soup out of them, but I feel like there's definitely an aspect here that there's an argument that could be made for taking special reagents from monsters like rust monsters, since we were talking about rust powder, or like blue dragons for lightning stuff, that would give you access to uncommon or even rare or like unique, because it's something that you figured out on your own, potions. And this is totally within the realm of homebrew, but I think there's definitely a precedent to set for experimentation in a class that is based around experimentation.
Yeah. I mean, when you're crafting these things, It mentions something like a brave frontier that they're pioneering or something like that in this flavor entry that they have. But it's definitely... I definitely would let my players do that, considering you already know that I let Maria, the NPC, do that. She makes weird stuff for you guys to drink, and I don't make you put resonance in it because it's silly. But like, I believe if resonance has been... That is one gripe that I do have with this class and the way potions work in general. If resonance has been spent on it, there's no need to spend your resonance to use it, in my opinion.
When I feel like they're getting a lot of feedback on that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that they shouldn't have that double resonance cost. Like you shouldn't tax taxable income as it is. Like
even though it's done all the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, not that you shouldn't tax, but you shouldn't double tax income. You shouldn't take something and then force us to pay for it, and then force us to pay for it a second time because someone else wants to use something that's already been paid for.
Yeah, because your party is spending the resource. The party is spending the resource of resonance already to make it. So they shouldn't have to spend the resonance to use it, because it's a one-use item.
Again, another custom formula that I once played a Alchemist in a one-shot. The GM allowed me to make poison bombs, effectively using what poisons that could be made into a gas form, and use my Alchemist bombs for that using the formulas.
There is a way to do that mechanically.
In second.
First edition.
So alchemical alacrity. There he is. I had to say that several times in the in the Alchemist entry.
Oh, good. When we get
alacrity.
there, I'm gonna have to fucking edit out your 7 retakes.
Alacrity. I don't do it all the time. I just do like...
The first thing I noticed, the difference between editing for Tommy and editing for Adam is a
lot less cuss words.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I've said this before, is that a lot of Tommy is just me editing out like his shitty recording space noise and him yelling at his cat. But for you, it's like editing out a retake and then realizing that there are 4 retakes behind that one.
Yeah. So there's that the alchemical alacrity. 3 resonance points make up 3 alchemical items as described in that action for quick resonance and stuff. They really, really do build around you doing the quick alchemy stuff, which that is something that I feel like has kind of pushed onto this class is do that. Do the quick alchemy stuff. Rather than necessarily, like people are talking about, investing in mutagens if you want to invest in mutagens. Or investing more heavily in bombs, even though bombs can technically be made with quick alchemy.
And you can make mutagens with quick alchemy.
You can, but if you're having to do that spur of the moment stuff, mutagens are okay, but you have to invest again into mutagens to make them usable for someone else, which is, again, understandable.
Is good and bad. I really like what they've done with the mutagens in 2nd edition, because there's a bunch of different kinds of mutagens, and the high-level ones are really gnarly.
Okay. All right, well, let's get into the Alchemist feats then, because we're talking about that.
I will begin. One of my favorite Alchemist feats so far, it is the far lobber, which is great for the Alchemist types that focus on bomb use only. So instead of 20 feet, you can throw out to 30 feet, which is pretty nice.
I think that's good. I'm not sure why they limited it. I understand why they limited it to 20 feet, because
it's always been
the
20
speeds.
Feet.
Yeah, but I mean the speeds are different now too. So 20 feet is still a movement for some, and 30 feet is good. You could get actually 2 bombs in before someone could get to you.
Yeah, I was going to say 30 feet would just put you out of range of half the races.
Yeah.
If I remember...
But that's only one movement, though.
Yeah. Movement came into...
Yeah, but that stops you from taking a movement and then attacking twice. You have to take 2 movements and attack once.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, movement... Yeah, with the way that movement behaves differently now and the way the actions work, you're going to need that distance. So I don't know. I probably would have given them more distance with Farlobber and had it been 20 feet and 30 feet to start with instead. Because
I like that they...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
finish your thought.
Simply because, I mean, you're going to be... Someone can switch a bow. Like, you can have a bow out and be tagging that alchemist before they even get close enough to touch you with a 20-foot throw. That's 2 movements. They would have to move all 3 times just to get outside of bow range, within 50 feet of a bow, if they were going to really deal some damage.
The bombs still hit touch, right?
Bombs... Let me make sure.
But if we're assuming that bombs still hit touch, like the touch is still going to be lower. It's not going to be quite as low as it was, generally speaking, in first edition, but it's still going to be lower. And it makes range penalties a little less scary.
That's fair.
But Farlobber, I like. It increases your versatility just in like how you make decisions. If you're really risk averse and you don't want to take the -2 because you roll like I do, you need as many +1s as you can fucking squeeze out. I think Quick Bomber is going to end up being sort of necessary in all Alchemist builds. The ability to pull out an extra bomb every time you take an interact action, or you use Quick Alchemy to make a bomb. You can also pull a bomb. And but the thing that I wanted to say was I'm really glad that they brought Alchemical Familiar back, and that now it doesn't have to be a gross little tumor.
Yeah, it can be a homunculus.
Yeah,
it can be Arendelle.
A chemical familiar, based upon what you're going with, I can see that being very useful, especially for a alchemist crafter build that can make use of it. And then alchemical servant, that is useful based upon what your character concept is and how often you can actually use it.
I'd really like to see I had this thought earlier when we mentioned that we were going to be doing the Alchemist today, because I don't know that we're going to get to any other class.
Yeah.
Was an Alchemist based off of Victor from Critical Role.
I've been really experimenting lately.
Learn from my mistakes! Probably one of the favorite NPCs from the first campaign was just a crazy half-exploded white-haired man that made gunpowder for Percival.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would definitely fit a character if you wanted to play him that way. It definitely seems very very explosive, very alchemisty. He likes to fiddle around with
dangerous things.
Yeah, things that he probably shouldn't touch without protective equipment on.
Or make tea around if you don't understand how how volatile the powder is.
Yeah. It's time to unseal it. No, let's please not.
I was just joking.
It's coffee.
Adam, moving on to force level feats.
Well, we haven't done. Wait. So,
let's burn through these really quick if we're going to do them one at a time.
Smoke bomb works pretty good. If you're going to go for that type of a thing, it's a free action, so it's not going to cost anything.
When you use Quick Alchemy.
Yeah, when you use Quick Alchemy, which is really kind of the only time you'd make a smoke bomb is if you were in trouble anyway. Yeah. Or if you were ready to start a combat or get out of a combat. That's the only 2 reasons you would make it. So I can see that being useful.
I'm glad they make the stipulation that this is in addition to its normal effects. So Smoke bombs do still do damage.
Which is
assuming you hit something.
is
The
the way to
10-foot
go.
radius blast, I'm assuming the smoke bomb hits a grid intersection, which means it's not actually going to hit a creature, but it will do splash damage.
Which isn't a lot in second edition, so.
No, you don't get to add your intelligence to it anymore.
Well, you don't get to add anything. It's like 1 point. So, I mean, it's not very big. But
it still does it. And then, yes, moving on to the fourth level.
Fourth level, two of the essential feats that I can see be very, very useful is calculated splash, adding int mod to your bomb damage, and poison resistance, half of your level +1 on top of your fort save or any saves against poisons.
Yeah, I mean,
see, it's too bad that Alchemist poison resistance doesn't stack with Dwarven poison resistance. So you can't get poison resistance equal to your level.
Yeah.
You know, Kane, you're just talking about that lack of intelligence mod to splash damage. Well,
yeah, there it is.
Calculated splash.
There it is with calculated splash, which I think is also going to end up being like one of those feats that every single alchemist takes, just because that's really good. I thought calculated splash was going to be what the is it called?
Yellow
the one
feet?
that lets you ignore squares in first edition.
Yeah,
precise bombs. Precise bombs, which is actually a 6th level feat, but we'll get to that in a second. So you have your calculated splash, your poison resistance. You also have enduring alchemy, which allows you to, when using quick alchemy, create an alchemical tool or elixir. You can enable that tool or elixir to remain potent until the end of your next turn. It just basically it doubles the length of potency of an item you make with quick alchemy from being just till the end of your turn to the end of your next turn. And then efficient alchemy, that because of the great amount of time you spent studying and experimenting, you know how to scale up your formulas to larger batches without giving them any additional attention, which I think... I mean, yeah, no, it's a 4th level feat. I could see it. You're just starting out as an alchemist. You don't really know how to make gumbo in a huge pot. You start with a small pot and you upgrade to a large pot.
You don't make gumbo in a big pot till you're ready. Till
Exactly.
You've been seasoned. Huh? I'm so funny.
For instance, if you're crafting elixirs of life, you can craft up to 4 elixirs of life in a single batch using downtime. Holy shit. Rather than 2, this does not reduce the amount of time required, the amount of alchemical reagents required or other ingredients. So it does...
same cost.
Yes.
Basically.
So you're spending less money and making more stuff.
Not bad.
And if you're spending, this interacts with your resonance, right? If you're spending resonance to make stuff at the beginning of the day, or is this only when you're?
This is only for crafting.
It's downtime only.
We're spending downtime to craft alchemical items. Okay.
Yeah, when you spend downtime,
when you craft with advanced health.
Yeah, when you spend downtime to craft, it's different than when you're using your kind of encounter mode features.
Yeah, but
because you can make
it does
those last a
increase
bit
the
longer.
batch size of things you make during your downtime, which is going to be good because during when you hit 4th, 5th level, you actually have some downtime to spend. It's going to be real nice.
Well,
and it will combat the sort of issue that we ran into in Starfinder, where we weren't really happy with the crafting system, because you could make things on your own without having to go to a store, assuming a store wasn't available, but it still costs the same amount. And this would be one way to get around that, where you would be spending effectively half as much money to make twice as much crap.
Yeah, it really makes absolutely no sense to have the buy cost and the craft cost be the same for things.
Assuming you can get reagents and ingredients.
Well, I mean, if the stores are, you can.
Yeah. But especially if you're playing, I don't know, like a wildernessy game. or something, and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have access to those special reagents for freezies, then it may not cost you anything.
Yeah.
When they say stuff in the spell entries for certain spells, like you require a diamond that is worth this much, it doesn't mean a diamond that you paid this much for. It means a diamond that has a fluctuating market value of this much.
Yeah, which is kind of brings into question this whole idea of needing something worth something much. So.
Yeah. I think it's well, I think that maybe that you could argue it as it playing into the esoterica of magic, but also I feel like maybe it's just kind of
mechanics.
Poor choice of wording.
It's mechanically that.
Cost the diamonds.
If I go to the kingdom of Financia, otherwise known as Greece, and their economy has collapsed, and diamonds are worth fucking pennies on the carat, and I buy a diamond that anywhere else in the world is worth 1,000 gold pieces, and I spend $100 on it. Like, that diamond should still work. I just made off like a bandit. That's the only difference.
Yeah. All right. So 6th level.
Didn't you know that in fantasy worlds all economies are the same?
Oh yeah, right.
Didn't you know?
6 level feats. 2 are the most common that I can see being picked. Based upon build, it is precise bombs and the debilitating bomb for their usefulness.
Yeah. Debilitating bomb, again, that's just a free action. So that's not bad when you're using your quick alchemy, which again, they seem to be really moving into that quick alchemy with the Alchemist, which is fine. That class feature is fine. I'm not bashing it. But if you have someone who has a lot of downtime, they can't make debilitating bombs in their downtime based upon the way this is worded, which seems not something that I'm necessarily fond of, but it does have the additive trait, so maybe I'm mistaken. If I'm mistaken, I'm willing to admit it.
The debilitating bomb effects, which one you choose, dazzled, deafened, flat-footed, or hampered 5. So based upon the party build, this can be quite potent, especially for a party of rogues.
Right. Oh yeah, if you took, like, if your main class was Alchemist and then you took a rogue archetype, you could do a lot with it. The stealth bomber is a thing. It was a thing in 1st edition, it'll be a thing in 2nd edition. The trigger for it is you craft an alchemical item that has the elixir trait using the quick alchemy action. Okay, so yeah, you can't do that in your downtime. You can't make debilitating bombs in your downtime, which is a bummer, but...
Well, and anything that says quick alchemy in the trigger or the part of the entry is not going to be a downtime thing. It's going to be something you do in the heat of the moment.
Right. It would be nice, though, to be able to make bombs that deafen, bombs that make you dazzle, one for each thing in your downtime so that you would have it.
I definitely heard bombs that make you dab for a second. No, you stop!
One way I can see debilitating bomb being very useful is setting up a ambush if you have the time.
Yeah. And then having it ready and making it debilitating when you use it. It's not.
Maybe we'll get to that. It might be in here somewhere. But yeah, like the remote detonated bombs that existed in 1st edition. That would be delayed bomb, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Delay.
Which is, it's basically you set up a bomb with a timer and you run. And if you run the wrong way or you run into something and you have to defuse it, you can do that with a disabled device to defuse the bomb. Using your
which
class
is better
DC.
because originally it was a DC 20 intelligence check, I think.
And
it was also a DC 20 intelligence check to detonate it early, which is just real high, man. DC 20 is a real high check to make off an ability modifier.
delay bomb. This is going to be one of those situational feats. If it's going to be very useful or not.
Yeah. Fast onset. I think that's going to be another situational one for sure. If you're not,
I think it's like the mutagen.
Yeah, and if you're not investing in your infused elixirs, if you're investing into bombs, you will not touch this. And if you're going into the Alchemist and you're doing it for the damage, you're going to probably focus on your bombs rather than your elixirs in 2nd edition, at least during the playtest, because being 5th level is when you're going to get your mutagen and stuff like that, and you don't get to start scaling it really until you get into 8th level feats, which we'll look at in a minute. But it would be nice if there were options to make people happy about their mutagens at 1st level, like giving somebody a specialization like they do with the Barbarian, which we'll probably end up getting to next time. But
yeah, tell us in the comment section below. Would you rather us skip classes to get through the rest of the book and come back to classes, or would you rather us spend the next 10 weeks on classes?
Well, maybe we'll get through 2 at a time. I don't know.
I mean, do you want to make these episodes extra long, Adam?
No. Poison antidote seems to be a good idea based upon what we've been seeing about poison in 2nd edition.
Yeah, to quote Tommy, poison real scary in 2nd edition. Poison real scary.
Poison.
Yeah, the problem I'm seeing with this though is it's only equal. The counteract level is only equal to half your level, and
rounded up.
If rounded up, but I mean,
well,
still like
we just fought something with a poison level of 13,
and we're level 10,
and we're level 10. So
and the spell level, so that would be
a counteract of what?
It would just be a counteract of 5, unless
which is more than 4 below 13.
Yeah, unless you already
automatically
knew the poison,
fails.
and even then it would only be a counteract of 6.
A poison antidote. This is one of those situational feats based upon how useful it is for the game you're in.
I think it'd be
that the poison levels are really high, and then the counteract levels for things are way too low. Is what I'm seeing.
That's agreed. You need to have something to counteract poison with the way it behaves, but with this being the way that they're kind of insinuating to do it, it's not gonna work real well. Because if you're a 3rd level, well, you can't be. You're 6th level alchemist. That means you're going to have 3rd level counteracts. Are you facing 3rd or 4th? Are you facing 3rd or 4th level things at 6th level, or are you facing 7th or 8th level things?
I mean, you might be if you're fighting
level.
more than one of them at once, but I get your point.
Yeah.
Poison antidote. This is only useful against CR creatures below you that actually uses poison.
Yeah, and you have to spend resonance to do it because this is a quick alchemy ability.
Yep.
Oof.
So I feel like if I'm spending alchemist on it, if I'm spending resonance on it, I should be getting more than half my level.
Yeah, you should get at least your level.
A specified number per day, and this doesn't stop me from being re-stabbed with poison or venom.
And it doesn't guarantee that you don't have the venom. It just gives you a chance to... Because counteracting poisons isn't about what you, the person, are doing. It's about what that person that's afflicted with the poison is doing.
Okay, so a point for counteracting. It's on page 319 to 320.
Mm-hmm.
If for items that are not spells, whatever, their counteract level is half of its level rounded up.
Oh,
so,
okay. Well, thank God.
The counteracts scale at the same level.
Here to fact check our horse shit.
Well, then why didn't they say that?
No, the monster level.
For more on counteracting poison, see page 319. Like I said, thank God Levi is here to fact check us.
Right, but they should have, if they're saying that it's going to be your level, basically, then say it's the alchemist level. Why make them go to the 319? Okay, switch that up, Paizo.
Wait, what are you saying?
Okay,
But
so like a level 13 poison, right, counts as a level 7 counteract.
Which, I mean, we still wouldn't be able to counteract.
No, you can counteract, you just don't automatically.
wait, no.
That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right with the way that level 13 poison wrecked people's stuff in the last encounter. We'll have to investigate this, people.
Okay, so if we're 10th level and our counteract is 5 or 6, and the counteract level of the poison is 7, how does that interact? If it's lower than that, does it have like percentage of working, or does it not work at all?
No, there's a check to work, but it gets pretty bad from what I'm seeing.
It gets pretty bad pretty quick.
Yeah. If it's the same level, you just roll
the person afflicted rolls.
Yeah.
So even if the alchemist could pass it with that boost from his stuff, that doesn't mean the other people will.
So you get a -5 penalty for every one higher that the item that the like.
Right.
What were the 2 levels again? A level 13 was a 7.
Level 13 poison.
It would have been a 7 because it's half rounded up, and then it would have been compared to a 5 or a 6 if the alchemist had the poison in his formula.
Okay.
Somewhere.
So say if he had it, you would have had a -5 penalty on... I'm not 100% sure exactly how this works.
Yeah, you take a cumulative -5 penalty to this check for every level by which your ability's counteract level is lower than the target. So if you're 1 level, it would be -5. If you're 2 levels lower, it would be -10.
Right. So we were fighting something 3 levels higher than us.
Yeah, but the counteract level is 7 compared to 5 or 6, not
that's still a
13.
-10. That's still a nearly impossible.
If your ability is 4 or more counteract levels lower than the effect you're trying to counter, it automatically fails.
Because that's -20. Like,
yeah. But
So-
what's the check DC? Is the counteract DC equal to the poison's DC?
it says you must succeed at a check using the relevant skill or ability against the DC of the target effect.
Okay, so it is against the poison DC, but you're
Which-
making...
So, do you basically just get another fortitude save?
Yeah.
Or
You
a
don't-
skill, because they mention a skill.
It's a skill.
You could
So
theoretically...
Could you use a craft? Medicine, probably, yeah.
You have to do it, though. The person that is poisoned has to do it, because any outside influence is only going to give you a bonus. Because as the group healer, I had to try and figure this out. All I can do is give people bonuses to their boosts. I cannot to their checks. I can't get rid of it for them unless I get legendary. So there's that to consider when anybody wanting to play the healer. That's something you got to consider with that.
But if I'm the one why can't I make a medicine check to remove someone else's poison?
That's what I'm saying, but I mean,
They let you do that before. This is my feedback. You gotta let other people make checks for people. If I'm building a character to be really good at making people not die, you gotta let me roll my modifier to let people not die.
That's what I'm saying. As the healer, I'm not just the heal bot. I built him so that he could counter other things too. But
I mean, I understand like the bias there of like you can give someone medicine, but whether or not they fight the infection off is really up to their body. But like, I'm not playing Hospital Simulator 2018. Playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
With magic and elves
With magic.
and dwarves.
Yeah, I've got magic and shit.
But moving on to the 8th, we've got Combine Elixirs, which is another free action. This actually is not bad. Combining 2 elixirs together is a real efficient way to use your resonance points. You can spend 3 instead of 1 to add a second elixir, so it's still going to cost you, but at that level, you're at 8th level, plus your intelligence, which is going to give you at least 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or 13 or something like that.
You're probably looking at like 16 resonance points or something. No, that's way too many. You're probably looking at
12 or 13.
12 or 13 resonance points.
Another 2 feats which are pretty useful based upon your build It is feral mutagen and powerful alchemy.
Powerful alchemy is very good, and it's a prerequisite for a capstone later, I believe, if I remember right. So keep that in mind.
But they also add in that the person drinking it has to spend twice as many resonance points to gain the effects.
On the combined elixirs, yeah.
On the combined
if they don't
elixirs.
get rid of that in the in the final release of the game, I'm getting rid of that in our homebrew.
I feel like that might be a pretty common host brew if that's not something that comes out. Because if your fighter and his crappy charisma is already decked out with his magic sword, his magic armor, his magic I don't fall off things and turn into a pancake bauble.
Decked out to do his job.
Yeah, and that's basically all of his resonance, and you're going to tell me, oh, this incredibly magical 8th level healing potion that does double the normal amount, it might just not work for you. That's kind of bullshit. Especially since your alchemist just spent 3 resonance points on it, and you had to spend another 2, and you're overspent now, and you roll and you fail, and it doesn't work. That's awful.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, you've just wasted 5 of the party's resonance points. But Feral,
I could get that if we were playing a system that was supposed to be like punitive.
Low magic.
If I were playing Dark Souls, the tabletop game, I could be like, yep, you pays your money, you take your chances. But I'm not playing that.
Well, even Dark Souls was fair with you. You would even Dark Souls is fair. It's harsh, but it's fair. This doesn't seem quite, I don't know, double taxing does not seem fair. But anyway, feral mutagen, Donald's right. If you're going that way with your mutagens, then feral mutagen will be one to pick up because it's going to be helpful. You're going to be able to add, you're going to be able to do more with it, and be able to hit heavier. This is one that Ignatius definitely would have taken.
We got there eventually.
Powerful alchemy is definitely the one that is most likely to be the one that is going to be a must-have at 8th level. There are some feats in here that, if you look back at the levels, you're going to take maybe 2 level 4s and then an 8 instead of a 6 or stuff like that with your builds, which I'm glad you can do. But other than that, yeah, powerful alchemy seems like a must-have.
A strong medicine is useful to a certain extent for what you can do with it.
Yes.
I mean, it counteracts poisons. I think it definitely has its place in the game, considering how dangerous poisons and toxins have become.
Right.
With it adding its bonus to, with it both giving you healing effects and offering you a bonus on against poisons and toxins, I think that if you're playing a more traditional medicine man style character or a doctor, I think strong medicine is definitely going to see use.
And another very useful feat that I didn't really appreciate how useful it is looking at the Alchemist skill set. It is Tricky Tinker.
Yeah, Tricky Tinker plays into exactly what Levi was telling us earlier, or maybe it was Donald, but I think it was Levi told us earlier. There being alchemist feats that make certain skills signature skills for you.
Mm.
You're 100% correct, Donald. Tricky Tinker does make Deception and Thievery a signature skill for you.
Yeah,
and you can use alchemist tools or a repair kit instead of thieves tools. So those don't get confiscated when you get searched by the fuzz.
That seems like a gross misuse of an alembic. Sorry, go ahead.
For a very stealthy saboteur type of alchemist, having Tricky Tinker, they must have.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that feat in mind. Actually, that might make for a really interesting. That seems like something that Greg's investigator would take.
Mm-hmm. Which one? The yeah, both.
Angus. Not the Joker one. That wasn't an investigator. He was a
vigilante. There you go.
The one that played with Agabus.
Yeah, the precise one, the one that's always on time.
It was precise. He was also, I think, categorically autistic.
Probably. I will say something about strong medicine. While I love the idea of like a goblin shaman wandering into the group, being kind of crazy, buggy-eyed, and like, take this root. It's good for being an alchemist is not necessarily the best healer character. So if you do that, just be aware.
No, you're a pinch healer. Is what you are. I mean, especially if you're playing a low magic game, then I suppose maybe your alchemist becomes your de facto healer. But in all other settings, your alchemist is your pinch healer. It's, oh no, the cleric's down. What are we gonna do? I guess fucking Dr. Horatio over here is gonna run around and stick like syringes of adrenaline into your heart.
Yeah, I will
Although
say
they seem good at healing themselves.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. That's also true.
Though it could come into play if you ever get into a game where you all get half celestial templates placed on you, and the role of the healer isn't as important considering everybody has a cure light wounds.
Well,
but
yeah, that
everybody
and like
has a heal
already
spell.
more than one person is running around with doctor's gloves, medicine gloves, healer's gloves.
Healer's gloves. Yeah, I got those. All right, 10th level.
One of you is like empirically a surgeon, and the rest of you are like gross little fucking.
You're my nurses.
Doctors.
You're my nurses.
Four of my favorite feats.
Don't touch me, I'm sterile.
Four of my favorite feats at 10th level, based upon what you're going for, it would be the expanded splash doing more damage, greater debilitating bomb for the other extra effects you can do with it, potent poisoner, which is nice if you're going for a poison build, and then it would be a sticky bomb if you want to make your bombs stick and do more damage over time.
Yeah.
All right, let's go through those in order. So we have the expanded splash, with bolts doubles the radius of your splash effect.
But you have to have calculated splash.
Well, yeah, but if you're gonna take expanded splash, you're gonna take calculated splash too, because this adds to your intelligence modifier damage.
That's fair. And, you know, it is a credit to Pathfinder 2nd Edition that all of the prerequisite feats seem to be ones you would take anyway.
Yeah, I like that all the prerequisite feats, so far, anyways, has yet to be seen with more content, but all the prerequisite feats so far seem to be logical stepping stones. I take this to take this, because the second thing I'm taking just seems like an empirical improvement upon what I had before, which is definitely what we see in Expanded Splash. Expanded Splash is just an empirical improvement over Calculated Splash. Greater Debilitating Bomb, which like Expanded Splash, is an empirical improvement over the normal Debilitating Bomb. When you use the Debilitating Bomb, free action, add the following conditions to the list: Enfeebled, Hampered 10, Sluggish, and Stupefied. And Stupefied and Enfeebled are really bad. So I could definitely see your Bomber Alchemist picking up Greater Debilitating Bomb, because those are really gnarly conditions. And to clarify for anyone who doesn't know what Hampered is combined with a number, and that number represents the number of feet by which your movement speed is reduced. So Hampered 5 cuts 5 off your movement speed. Hampered 10 would therefore cut 10 off your movement speed. 5 isn't super impressive. 10 is more impressive, because for a lot of races that basically cuts your movement speed in half.
Yeah, especially if you already have like an armor check penalty to speed.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So for a human, which is 25 by default, reduce that down to
15.
15.
Or 10 if you're in armor.
Yeah, Oh, buddy.
If you're a dwarf in armor, that's like 5.
No, if you're a dwarf in armor, you stay at 20 because you're a dwarf.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If you take the stuff for it.
When you add in the bomb increase feat, with the greater debilitating bomb, it can be quite deadly based upon what foe you're using it on.
Yeah, assuming they fail to save, which they may or may not, depending on what you're fighting. The enfeebled, stupefied, and sluggish are going to be really nasty.
Yeah.
And you have your potent poisoner, which adds 2 to the DC of poisons or items with the poison trait that you make, up to a maximum of your class DC. I'm not sure how I feel about the maximum of your class DC, because, well, I mean, it's going to be fairly high, but maybe not as high as I want. I mean, if I can get it higher than my class DC, why would I not be able to do that? It's going to cost me a lot of money to do that. I feel like I should be allowed, but that's a minor gripe.
So for a level 10 Alchemist, if you do have a 18 int, it would be 26 DC, and that's pretty high. Unless if you build a Jin's Poison build, you're gonna have a problem beating a 26.
Well, it also depends on what you're facing, too. Remember, you're not using this against other players, usually. You're either using it against a monster, or someone, or
That's just level plus key plus 10, so it'd be 24.
Yeah. Well, it depends if your key's at 5 or at a plus 5 or a plus 4.
Yeah, 24 or 25, because I don't think you get your ability modifier much higher than 20 by 10th level.
It depends. Are those stat boosting? Those stat boosting ones...
It's 5 and 10, so if it was 18, at 5 it would increase to 19, and at 10 it would increase to 20, so it would be 5.
And
so
then you can get stat boosting items too, so you can get up to 22.
It would be 10 plus 10 plus 5, so unless you had a headband or a belt of giant strength or something, it would be 25, otherwise it would be 26.
And all the stat boosting items count as level 14 items, so the odds of you having those at level 10 are low.
There you go, haha! Levi's got my back. He's so smart. Look at him and his big brain.
And you got his name right.
I did. I've been getting it right for ever since. I called him Liam one time. You've been cheating on me.
A sticky bomb. You mix in an additive to make the bomb content adhere to the target and continue to deal damage. A creature that takes a direct hit from one of your sticky bombs also take persistent damage equal to and of the same type as a bomb splash damage.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting your int mod to splash damage, that's real good, because that splash damage turns into persistent damage against who you hit.
Does it add to your splash damage column?
It does not, but if you have another feat that does...
I don't believe there's one that does that.
If there's a feat in here, we'll talk about it if we come across it.
So if you have calculated splash plus sticky bomb, you are doing 1 plus your int mod.
So it does add to splash damage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Actually, that just reaffirms what I said earlier, that the calculated splash is going to be a must-have feat for Bomber Alchemists.
Sticky bomb. I can see this being quite useful on what would be the boss fight. Stick this onto the boss and let the rest of the party damage it while the boss take persistent damage.
Would that stack with additional bombs? Could you just cover some big dude in napalm and light him up and walk away?
Yeah, but you can't look back because
you can't. You don't. Why would you want to? Right? No one wants to watch a dude burn to death. That's just fucked up, Adam. Why would you?
If you're covering a dude in napalm and walking away, then cool guys don't look at explosions.
It's not gonna explode. Napalm doesn't explode.
But it burns.
It does burn, but I suppose if you categorize a chemical plasma reaction like fire as an explosion, then yes, but otherwise no.
So you can't really stack it up because you can only do sticky palm once per round.
But if you do it every round, is what he's saying.
Yeah,
but persistent damage doesn't stack.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact: you should be able to make a bomb debilitating and sticky and smoking.
Well, you know what you can do, though? You can do different types of persistent damage. So you can have fire persistent damage, electric persistent damage. You can do that to make it stack.
That is true.
I'm
not sure why you would want to make it smoking, persistent, and the other one.
just to get the
just
persistent
because they're
is.
each a free action, and if you have all three, like it's free to add all three simultaneously.
They don't cost extra resonance?
No, what
No.
happens
If you
what
look at
happens
the
to
smoke
limit
bomb
that
ability-
is what one trigger can only apply to one action. Now if you
Yeah.
spend 3 actions,
Okay.
if you spend 3 actions throwing bombs, then yeah, you can do it. Like if your last action is to throw a smoke bomb, which all you're wanting is the splash damage anyway, then you can do that.
Okay,
But
that helps.
you
Okay,
can't.
so to move real quick on to the other level 10s before we get
Okay.
super distracted again.
Revivifying
Stalker
mutagen.
which makes stealth a signature skill for you. And in addition, when you are under the effects of a Quicksilver mutagen, which the Stalker mutagen refers to, you can move up to your speed when you sneak instead of your normal of half your speed, which is really
Nice.
good, especially if you were, I don't know, maybe if you're multi-class with Monk and you got the speed bonus.
Monk or
and then
barbarian while you're
You
raging.
have the Revivifying mutagen. While under the effects of a mutagen, you can metabolize that mutagen's power to heal yourself. You take an action with the Concentrate or Manipulate trait. Once this action is complete, you regain 1d6 hit points for every 2 item levels of the mutagen. So if you're using a level 10 mutagen, you get 5d6 points of heal.
Nice. That's good.
But the
And you
mutagen
can-
duration immediately ends. So what you could do is metabolize the rest of a mutagen right before it's about to end, because it doesn't
Yeah.
specify that it has to be used a specific duration, like time before the duration expires. Or if you're in a pinch and someone's beat the ever-loving tits off you, you could use it to avoid bleeding to death.
And just about every mutagen has a bad effect, so you can also use that if you need to use that side of your character and remove whatever bad effect the mutagen gives you.
Absolutely excellent point.
It is also worth noting that the mutagens you can't stack mutagens without investing into it.
Mhm.
So
moving on
once
to the
one
12th.
starts, it's off. The other's off. So 12th, extended elixir. If you got an elixir that lasts 1 minute longer, that's going to be good for like utility. But unless you're crafting in downtime, I don't really see the use of that for someone who, like if someone doesn't get to craft in downtime, or someone who's crafting bombs, rather, even if they have some kind of elixir trait to them, it wouldn't make any
Yeah.
sense for them.
I mean mutagens.
Yeah.
The one down from there in Invincible Mutagen, I can see that being very useful, especially if you're going with a feral Alchemist fighter build.
Yeah. Because the Juggernaut mutagen on page 365, you gain resistance to all physical damage equal to the mutagen's item bonus. Mutagen's item bonus is probably 3 or 4. Well, it's got to be at least 5, because you are getting mutagen at 5th. Mutagens at 5th. So.
Oh my gosh, Monk.
It scales.
Well, there you go.
There are different types of mutagens, and there's multiple Quicksilver mutagens, and multiple Juggernaut as well, and they each have different item bonuses based on what item level of Juggernaut you use.
There you go. So if you see the bolded text on each of the entries, tells you what you should get at those levels, or what happens at those levels that they're crafted at. Laboratory safety, you have to be expert in fortitude or reflex. And it's basically, when you succeed at a saving throw of your chosen type, whether it's fort or reflex, you treat the outcome as a crit success. You must have it basically gives you master proficiency in it. The effects of master
success is in a
proficiency.
crit success, which is nice.
Well, that's master proficiency, I believe.
Not always, I don't think. Am I wrong?
I'm not sure. Usually when you succeed at a saving throw and you have master proficiency, you never fail. When you have...
You don't fail, but you don't crit succeed either.
Right. So... Or when you...
Unless I'm wrong. Very
Yeah.
well could be.
I'm not sure.
next one down.
Poison touch.
Poison touch. This is more of a situational feat if it's useful or not for your build. You need a potent poisoner, which if you're going with a poison alchemist build, then you would be using this anyway.
Well, if you're getting that close, because not all poisoner builds are going to get close. Like, this is more of one I would say is if you're a poison / melee. Because if you're not investing in your con, you won't be able to stand up to the monsters at 12th and just tank it. Because they gonna hit you. I mean, you could have your AC high enough that it would be that they'd have to roll good enough to do it, but still, if they hit you once unless you're buffing your con with some kind of mutagen or some kind of effect like that, this poison touch is going to be a little situational. But you do
really
touch
fun with a Gestalt monk, though.
Yeah, if you
Flurry of Blows, poison touch.
Well, if you archetyped or gestalted with a monk, then you could do it.
There's no monk archetype, I don't think.
Not in the playtest. I mean, like in the
true.
In the end result.
In a one game I played in, I played a poison user monk with the poisoner gloves, and I had a lot of fun with that build.
Mm-hmm.
It is viable, but you need to build into it to make it viable.
Yep. Uncanny bombs. You have to have Farlauber and precise bombs, both things that you're probably going to have if you're investing in your bombs. And your range increment goes up, and you take no penalty for screening.
Nice.
Yeah,
it basically doubles.
Yeah, the 60 feet is a good way to go, because then you can hit someone that's shooting a bow at you.
Well, yeah, but the real star of that feat is that you ignore screening and you automatically succeed the flat check when targeting a concealed creature.
Yeah, that's the big deal, because screening, they may have got rid of concealment, but screening is kind of harder when you start to really have to deal with it, because anything...
Screening is the replacement for firing into melee without having precise shot.
Yeah, but even I get why screening's there. I don't not like that it's there, but I do think that it's going to be something where it's going to be something that comes up more than shooting into melee necessarily did.
Because it also has affects of cover built into it.
Yeah. So if you're going to be doing that, you definitely need uncanny bombs, and it might need to be a little bit sooner. It might need to be a 10th level feat instead of a 12th, because you've been having to deal with screening up until this point if you haven't taken it. Which, if you're throwing smoke bombs in, you're going to have to... I mean, you need this feat. So, 14th level.
Two feats that I can see be very useful. It is awakened in intellect. You get nature and religion as a signature skill, and get a +2 circumstance bonus when using nature or religion to we call knowledge. So that's pretty nice. And then debilitating bomb. When you use the debilitating bomb reaction, add the following to the list of condition. We remember the previous two effects for the feats. If you choose from, you get to choose from the list: Enfeebled 2, Hampered 15, and Stupefied 2. So the dwarf in heavy armor. With other effects, you can effectively slow down the quote-unquote armor tank down to a snail pace effectively, and poke it until
5 foot.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's a minimum for hampered.
I don't know. I haven't seen one.
I'm assuming there's a minimum for
5 foot.
I feel, exactly.
Yeah, well, the minimum's not going to be -5.
No, I just mean, I feel like they wouldn't allow you to apply hampered to the point where Your speed became 0.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the minimum is 5 foot.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you, Levi.
Which is why 3 actions is 15 feet total. Like your base, your.
In 1E, it was 5 feet that it can be reduced to maximum, unless you have effect that say otherwise. That say you cannot move at all. So effectively, you have 0 feet movement.
So the true debilitating, all the debilitating bomb feats seem really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And true debilitating bomb adds the caveat that if you choose to pick from the listed conditions in debilitating bomb, the base feat, you can only avoid the conditions if your save is a critical success, which is excellent because you choose a reduced effect, but you make the effect significantly harder to avoid.
Which is nice for tactics.
Yes. I'm not sure if I agree on the Awakened Intelligence. This is another one of the Alchemist feats that gives you a pair of skills as signature skills, which is nice to have them as signature skills because we're getting up into the levels where you're going to have Master and very nearly legendary proficiencies. But I think you would only really take Intelligence if you really wanted to clamber onto all of the feats that make skills signature skills for you.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if you were playing as a rogue with an alchemist multi-class, or an alchemist with a rogue multi-class, and you got a lot of skill increases or skill feats, a lot more skill increases or skill feats. Because otherwise, you still run into the problem of over the course of 20 levels, you're only going to be able to increase so many feats so many times, and if every feat has 4 check boxes to check off of, having that many signature skills may or may not even help you.
Yeah. Especially since other people are probably investing in those as well.
Yeah.
Remember, there is also a feat that you get to increase the number of skills you have. So effectively 2 per the feat. So take that at enough times as a human or something that grants you that as a type of feat. I can see Awakened Intellect being quite useful, but it's situational at best.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you. I think it's good. I like it as a feat, but I think you're only really going to see it taken if you're building specifically into that type of character.
I'd like it. It'd be cool if all of these skills that they're saying you can get were something you could pick from, like we talked about before, at first level. And say, here's some you can pick from. Pick 3. And then later on you get another one, and later on you get another one. Or something like that.
I don't know. We'll see more going forward between all the feedback and what people decided they like and what people decide they don't like.
Right.
So we have the Glib Mutagen, which allows you to ignore the circumstantial penalties on deception, diplomacy, intimidating performance checks when using a Silver Tongue Mutagen. Unlike some of the other mutagen feats, this does not give you a signature skill. But whilst you are under the effects of a Silver Tongue Mutagen, it does basically give you the effects of the spell Tongues. When you are making diplomacy or performance or intimidation checks, the words you speak, others hear as though you were speaking their language. I muddled that a little bit, but basically you speak every language whilst under the effects of the Silver Tongue Mutagen.
But you can't understand it.
No, this is tongues, not comprehend languages.
Ah, gotcha.
So you can speak it, though you do not actually speak the language, nor does this ability allow you to understand any additional languages. No, you are correct, Colin. I misheard you. You can speak the language, but you can't understand it.
Yeah,
that's funny.
People talking back at you, you're not going to understand what they're saying.
Yeah, no, so you're basically having a one-way conversation with a bunch of people if you don't speak their languages.
Which seems kind of, I don't know, seems kind of jippy. They kind of jip you a little bit on it. This is a 14th level feat.
Oh, going with the 1950s slang.
Yeah. Hey, I still use that word. Don't jip me.
I had a teacher in high school who was Romanian, and he would always make a big fuss if you ever used the word "gyp."
Okie dokie. I'm not sure why. But okie dokie.
It might have been because the class used to call him gypsy nipples.
Well, that would probably do it.
Yeah, because he wore polo shirts to every single class, and his nipples were fucking rock hard. Every single like there was. I don't think I ever saw that man without just like the.
All right, that has nothing to do with double mutagen, which is good.
And double mutagen,
which is good with he had a double mutagen on one of those. So
he had a silver tongue mutagen in one nipple and a bull's head mutagen in the other.
There you go. But that's I think double mutagen will be the mutagen feat for 14th level for people focusing on mutagens, simply because glib mutagen is not one that's going to be super desirable in my opinion, because you can't understand what's going on. You can talk it, but you can't understand it. For something that's consumable and only lasts for like a minute or 2 minutes, depending on what you're doing.
I think it lasts longer than that.
Does it? If
Levi
can look it up.
So the lesser version, the item level 5 version, lasts a minute. The item level 9 version lasts 10 minutes. Item level 13 version lasts an hour. Item level 17 version also lasts an hour, but is stronger.
Stronger in
I'm
what?
so fucking happy you're here.
Yeah. Stronger in what way, though?
Let's double check, because it's the difference between greater and true.
I imagine empirically the mechanical bonuses are.
If it's just the mechanical bonuses, that I still don't think that's worth a 14th level feat.
Between the 13 level and the 17 level, let's see, it costs an operation edge. Oh, but the difference is the true version has a much faster onset time.
Oh.
It's only a little bit better mechanically and it's like +1 better. So meh.
Yeah.
But like onset of the greater is 1 minute, onset of the true is at the end of your next turn.
But why would you need to do it? That doesn't seem like a mutagen you would be using in the middle of combat.
That's also true.
So, that doesn't seem worth it.
I agree.
Anyway.
Now, it's more important for, like, Juggernaut, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
16th level. Eternal Elixir. This is the one that you would take if you want things to last. Because this one's pretty good. You get an extra minute out of the duration, and elixirs are things you want an extra minute out of.
No. If it's a minute or more, it's
the duration
permanent.
is of a minute or more, you make it last forever.
Yeah, that's my fault.
So that Cheetah's elixir?
Yep.
You're accelerated 5.
Just a character feature.
Yep. It becomes a character feature, which is nice.
Now, it has to be a level of half... Like, it has to be half your level, but still, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's 16th level. That's a level 8 elixir.
You only get one, though. You imbibe one, and that's the one you get, and if you imbibe a new one, the previous one ends.
Well, yeah, let's not get greedy.
It doesn't, because it stops you from having everything. I have every superpower, says Cartman. It doesn't stop you from getting more of that, whatever it was you had before later. But it's important to make the stipulation for whatever power gamers are listening. You only get one.
Tommy. Yeah.
You only
get one. Which is still, I think that's fair. For a 16th level feat, you're getting an 8th level feature, basically.
That you have to make
modular.
Stipulation. You remember what Ignatius looked like at 20th level. It was gross.
Yeah.
I was immune to 7 different kinds of damage.
Yeah. Well, that was because you had a lot of stuff go on with you. But yeah.
And then we have the exploitive bomb. This is another one of those free actions you use with Quick Alchemy. You mix the substance into a bomb to foil resistances. The bomb treats any resistance to its energy type as though it were 15 lower, which is a lot. I could be wrong, but because I haven't gone through the bestiary yet. But in first edition, resistance 15 to anything was basically 5 points or so off from just outright being immune to something, because usually you would hit resistance 20, and then after that, the creature was normally immune to it. So they're either shrugging off maybe 5 points of it, or they're taking all of it, which is real good. This obviously, I imagine, doesn't interact with immunity.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't seem like it.
If you're throwing a firebomb at a fire elemental, you're still an idiot. But this definitely will help you in the late game when you're fighting big-ass dragons and enormous sludge oozes and all sorts of other aberrant maledictions that may or may not be resistant to normal forms of...
I haven't had a look
I'm missing the word, but damage.
I haven't had a look at the monsters in 2D playtest yet, but having effectively lower DR, so you can do more damage. This is a must-have for the Alchemist bombers for sure, especially against the higher CR outsiders for sure.
Yeah, Genius Mutagen. It basically gives you all the skills, but and you can communicate telepathically with creatures within 60 feet, with who you share a language.
Yeah.
I do think it's weird. Thought has no specific language, at least in my opinion. So I think it's weird that that's a thing.
I feel like that's more a mechanical stipulation.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe you house rule that out in your game. Maybe you don't. Maybe it'll be cut out in the final release of the game. That is yet to be seen. If you like it or don't like it, send feedback, of course, to Paizo.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of, like, I took drugs for my brain and now I can project my thoughts.
You do that. What is that one show with? What's his face? Takes the genius pill. Yeah,
Don't
you know
die,
what I'm
Kane.
talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
I hate that show.
I don't know. I never watched the show itself.
It was. They did a movie about it too, and I thought the movie was so stupid because it was based on a scientific premise that was proved to be false like 15 fucking years ago.
By that point.
No, I mean it was made like just 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't know. I may be showing my age, but it wasn't that long ago.
And it was actually probably longer than that. But Limitless.
There it is. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Limitless.
Yeah, and the whole premise was we'll give you this pill or this weird little fucking acid tab. I mean, Adam's definitely old enough to remember what a tab of acid looks like.
I may be old enough to know what it looks like, but that doesn't mean that I've ever imbibed.
It ends up in your spinal fluid forever. It was basically they gave him this little drug and it's like, this will let you access the other 80% of your brain because humans only use 20% of your brain. And upon hearing that trailer, I was like, no, that's fucking stupid. That's not how that works.
Yep.
But anyways, they're like, it lets you use the other 80% of your brain that I guess is just a fucking rutabaga for everybody else. And it let him, like, do kung fu and fuck with the stock market.
He was Neo.
And that's basically what Genius Mutagen does. It lets you do kung fu and fuck with the stock market.
Well, it may let you mess with the stock market, but I don't know about doing kung fu. It's all skill-based.
You're level 16. You're basically doing kung fu.
But you didn't need these drugs.
No, you didn't need these drugs. I'm just saying, like, if I was to walk into a bar, I'd be like, hey, baby, I got this drug, make you do kung fu. And she'd be like, bullshit, that doesn't make you do kung fu. And then I would start a bar fight, and I'd beat the ever-loving tits out of some dudes. And I'd be like, see, kung fu.
The ever-loving gypsy nips. So
yeah, the ever-loving gypsy. That's okay. I'm not upset about offending him specifically, because 2 years later he got fired for a sexual assault scandal.
Well, it's on him now.
Yeah, there you go. Gypsy Nipples is in jail.
Perfect medicine.
Moving on to perfect medicine.
Oh, they'll give you perfect medicine in jail.
No. Perfect medicine. This is if you can get your alchemist up to 16th level and take this feat, and you can do it with the stipulation that the from the GM that no one has to invest that extra resonance into something, into a potion to use it, then I think you can be the healer, the main healer for your party. But I don't know. Other than that,
yeah, but it took you to level 16.
Yeah.
To be able to do what literally any idiot could do in first edition.
Yeah.
I
mean, you can make.
So I feel that's so weird because it seems like the power level has been ranked up for second edition, except in like this and a very few select other circumstances where they're like, "Oh, hey, you want this good thing? You better pay for it twice. You better pay for it twice."
You're getting spayed twice. Something's wrong.
You didn't spayed twice.
So-
The first vasectomy didn't take.
Now we just gonna castrate you.
My problem was they tied her tubes, but the doctor was really shitty at knots.
Didn't get them tight enough.
Yeah.
So, fun fact:
Hmm?
the perfect medicine, it lets you don't need to roll the they gain the max, which happens to be 84 for an item level 16 elixir of life.
Woo!
And you
pretty
end
good.
all toxins currently afflicting them.
Honestly, that's just the getting maximum healing out of an item.
Yeah,
is
right.
worth-
Yeah.
The resonance, if you're gonna play with those rules, makes persistent mutagen incredibly worth it because you don't have to pay twice for the same item. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna house rule out that particular rule, just getting maximum hit points out of an elixir of life, I would say is worth it because trying to get maximized healing any other way is very difficult.
Unless you build for it. If you build for it as a cleric, you can do it before 16th
There's a way
level.
to do it. If you're playing like a life oracle in first edition, there's definitely a way to do it. But there's really only a fistful of ways to do it in first edition, and one of them is an achievement feat, which I forget the name of, but you have to heal a cumulative total of I think like 1,000 or 10,000 hit points, and every point of damage you do counts double against that total.
That's dumb.
I actually liked it. I did a character that had that feat.
But with
I
stuff
didn't do
counting
damage.
against you.
I didn't do damage for 8 weeks in a row.
Oh, the damage. I thought you meant damage done to you.
No. Damage you do.
Okay, yeah. I could totally do that with a pacifist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was playing a kobold named Patiz, which the reason I picked that name is because Patiz is the draconic word for kobold.
I am kobold.
I am
Kobold.
kobold. He was named by
An
named
angry
a
dragon?
Bapsu. And it's not very creative, apparently.
But that's good. Perfect medicine. Like, if you can get this high, this is where you become the healer and the cleric focuses on other spells.
Yeah, right.
Persistent mutagen is good if you're going to have extend elixir already and you're, once per day you drink an alchemical item and you retain it until the next time you do your daily preparations. So
I mean, basically maintain the mutagen's effects all day long instead of having to.
If you pair this up
for 24 hours instead of an hour, which
if
is
you
what you're
take
looking at 15th level.
Yeah, so if you take extended elixir, the first feat you get at 16th, and then at 17th level, or I mean at 18th level, you skip out on an 18th and you go to persistent mutagen.
Extend elixir is a 12th level.
Yeah,
You're thinking of eternal elixir.
Yeah, there we go. I was reading the prerequisite instead of the
Extend
name.
elixir is 12th level.
So eternal elixir plus persistent mutagen, you can keep some superpowers on you all day.
All right, is that all of 16?
Yep. 18th.
So improbable elixirs, I think, looks really neato. I don't know if I would take it, but it's definitely you gain formulas to craft these potions as chemical items with the elixir trait. So you take a bunch of equal to your intelligence modifier. You select a number of potions or chemical items with the potion trait, and lot of them.
Well, you know, if you're
Did
feeling
Alex
that
just
Okay, I dropped just a second
maximize
ago.
healing thing from before with this, you can get a true healing potion as an elixir, which would be I can't type. I'm
Just
pretty
two
sure it
atoms.
gives you more healing.
Yeah. Okie dokie. I don't know what I missed, but I had to rejoin the call.
I see that. You know, I'm now understanding what Alex means when he says he has the better hangouts.
Well, this is like the first time in months that I've dropped a call.
No, that's not what I mean. The whatever hangout extension he uses lets people individually mute and kick people.
Oh, yeah, that's the YouTube itself hangout. They have a special hangout designed for it. Yep.
Okay.
So
all right.
This is pretty funny though with the improbable elixirs plus the perfect medicine. You can heal up to 102 damage every single time.
See, so if you get up to this level as an alchemist, you are the healer now. Well, you can be the healer if you take the feats for it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you're competing with your cleric, and at this level, you're both probably such juggernauts on the battlefield as potential healers and damage dealers. That like, alternatively, either of you, I feel like, could take a dying ally and just like pop them back up to like 3/4 health, or like absolutely annihilate one thing. I mean, maybe not. You're fighting level 20 foes, whatever the hell that looks like in this edition, but there's definitely like there's a side by side where I always picture this because I watch way too much media, where I picture the sort of like budding rivalry that has been occurring between the more traditional medicine crafter, the alchemist, and like the magical medicine person, the cleric. And at this point, you've hit equilibrium, where you're both really, really good at it.
Yeah.
Almost infeasibly good at it.
Almost?
And,
no. Yeah.
Almost. You're entirely infeasibly good at it. Where you can take a dying body and restore it to like fighting fit quality in the span of an action or two actions. So, like, in less than 6 seconds, you can take a dying man and be like, and fucking, you turn him from like just some limp noodle corpse into Conor McGregor. Just,
Yeah.
Two of my favorite feats at this tier is mind blank mutagen. It's pretty useful for what it's designed for, and miracle worker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mind blank mutagen is really good because only 10th level scrying spells could see past that.
I mean, you're real full up on the mind blank thing. I get that. I do, because I remember playing 3.5 and going through the Giant in the Playground forums a lot, and people talking about the versatility of mind blank as a spell and how you basically needed it at later levels. And maybe I've just been spoiled as a player, because I've never needed mind blank before playing an Tommy game. I've never needed the ability to become undetected or revealed or unscryable. It just wasn't a problem that came up, and like I said,
Depends
maybe
on
that's
how high level the team is, like
yeah.
how high power.
Like I say, maybe I've just been spoiled.
Perfect debilitation, though.
I think it's kind of weird that it's tied to the bullheaded elixir, because isn't the bullheaded elixir a combat elixir?
Mutagen, you mean?
bullheaded is
mutagen,
like
sorry?
mind resistance. It is a mental
Stubbornness
resistance style thing.
Oh, okay. What am I thinking?
Juggernaut, probably.
Probably Juggernaut. Anyways,
But Miracle Worker
and Perfect Debilitation.
Miracle Worker is good if you have people fall a lot. Like if you don't have a cleric, and you don't have healing bombs in this game yet. They were a thing in first edition.
They
I'm gonna
were
blow you
real
back up.
specific, and I never used them because they were third party and you didn't want them.
We didn't need one. You had real.
We had a paladin as our healer.
A paladin hospitaler, which is still possible in this game.
Hospitalier.
But Miracle
Perfect
Worker,
debilitation.
yeah, perfect. Miracle Worker lets you revive them even if they've been dead for a minute, with just an elixir. So no res needed, as long as I can drink a potion.
Within a minute.
Within a minute, which isn't hard to do if they're right there on the battlefield.
Yeah, it feels like it's very similar to like Breath of Life.
Yeah.
Although Breath of Life I think is like a round, but anyways.
And then perfect debilitation. Debilitating bombs are already good. It's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have a critical success for those high level, true debilitating bomb things. So, like, critical success, or you're hampered 15, or stupefied 2, or enfeebled 2.
That's so good, though. That's such a good. If you've been focusing into
good debuff.
The save DCs of your bombs, nobody's gonna get around that. You're gonna throw a bomb at 18th level, admittedly, and you're gonna throw a debilitating bomb at 18th level, and they're gonna eat that debuff. Like that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, but to be clear, you can't really increase your DC, your class DC, above your class DC. So it will be at max your class DC.
Well, yeah, but if you've been pumping up your int in any foreseeable way you can, is what I mean.
Yeah, but I highly doubt that any creature is going to get a critical success on that max class DC.
I don't know. Have you looked through the bestiary? I have breezed through it. There's some pretty high bonuses in there.
I mean, it would be 20.
Get pretty high too.
20 plus your key, which is probably like by 20th level 8 or 9. So you're getting real close to 30, and then some magic items.
You can't beat 7. In-game mechanics, you can't beat 7. Like the beginning chart at the beginning of the book that lists ability modifiers ends at 24. Because you can start with an 18, increase it 4 times, and then...
Up and up and up, yep.
No, sorry, yes, you are absolutely correct, Levi. Thank you.
But that's still 27, so they gotta get...
you'd hit 24, and then you'd have a magic item.
No. 4 times plus... You can increase it 4 times. If you start with an 18, that's 22.
Yeah, you can get it up to 22.
And then magic item 24.
Yeah, and the magic item 24.
So that's
it's
plus
a plus 7.
They're 5, 10, 15, 20, yeah.
So you're going to have a 37 base DC on your class DC. But there are things with a 30,
right?
Yeah, 10 plus level plus key ability. So 10 plus 20 is 30 plus key is 37.
But there are things in the bestiary that can roll that.
Well, yeah, they can roll that, not necessarily they will roll that.
At 20th level, if you're fighting stuff, I don't know. They got a fair chance.
Well, I mean,
they're built to fight things at 20th level. So,
but if they gotta be,
we're not playing Starfinder, Adam. We're not fighting Greg. I don't have to put up with Greg's fucking horseshit saving throws.
All right, 20th level, craft Philosopher's Stone, which I looked at the Philosopher's Stone. I mean, there's neat things about it, but I'm not.
Page 367. Tell us about the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
All right, I'm on 369 looking at something else right over.
Your new Levi's be there.
You're my new favorite.
An alchemist can craft the Philosopher's Stone, can create once per month using the advanced alchemy. Break it open with a DC 25. Meh.
There's another item you can craft with the Philosopher's Stone.
You want to break open the Philosopher's Stone anyways.
Okay, to use the stone's Quicksilver, you must be legendary. You can apply it to an infused true elixir of life to create an infused elixir of rejuvenation. I was looking at that earlier. That can revive anyone from like a week of death. And you can spend a month of downtime applying it to iron to make silver or lead to create gold. So basically you make boat tons of money every month if you want to.
I mean,
Colin, you're really out of freeze.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the book. Elixir of Rejuvenation, though, you can instantly heal somebody to max hit points.
Yeah.
And remove all toxins of 20th level or lower.
Well, you're 20th level. You should be able to do that. That's your once a month like drink this.
That's true.
Drink this crazy golden NyQuil.
But I mean, the Philosopher's Stone is thematically cool. I'm just not sure how much what it can do for you will be applicable at that level.
Especially as much as perfect mutagen.
Gold, Adam.
Yeah, but do you need to? You're a 20th level. You're a 20th level alchemist in a 20th level adventuring party that is pretty much ruling a kingdom.
Adam, I'm 20th level. I'm retired.
Are you?
I'm living off the interest of my lead investments.
But I mean, I can see the idea of it. If you're retired in 20th level, then yeah, you're not playing anymore. So,
and it's the best one for your NPC.
Yeah, for an NPC, it's fine. For an NPC, it's fine. But if you're if you're someone who's still adventuring,
if you're a crafter and you have a once per month, I can turn this pile of lead into solid gold. You can buy a lot of shit.
You can. I mean, there's stuff for it, but you got to make sure if like in a downtime game, yeah, you can do the Philosopher's Stone may be useful. But at 20th level, are you really needing to buy anything else?
I mean, yes and no.
If you're getting paid on the way up?
The Philosopher's Stone is so incredibly archetypal, but I feel like maybe it is dependent on your game. There are going to be games, and that's why they give you more than one thing. There's not just like one level, you get to make a Philosopher's Stone, and that's it, eat it, nerd, ha ha ha. There's more than one. And I feel like there are games you're gonna play in where the craft Philosopher's Stone is gonna be your niche. Maybe you just want it as a character, but there's also gonna be games in which making a Philosopher's Stone are just better.
I think that I'd like it more if it was like an insurance policy as well. If one of the effects was instead of one of the things that are there was like if you die and you've got this around you, you've got this with you, it shatters. Or if you have it setting it's attuned to you, and you have it setting in your your alchemist's tower.
Yeah, like a once-off phylactery.
Yeah, a once-off phylactery.
Like in Spelunky.
Yeah, you get it to bring you back. That would be really cool. I think that would be really thematic. That could be really
cool, but
like in Full Metal Alchemist, it would fit that theme really well.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from the the Philosopher's Stone.
There you go.
We have the Perfect Mutagen, which is kind of unimpressive, but I understand why you would take it if you were the type of really risk-averse person to play into the mutagen feats. And maybe it just fits your character. It represents. I could definitely understand how the Perfect Mutagen represents your perfection of your craft. When under the effects of the mutagen you have crafted, you do not suffer its drawbacks. And I could definitely see there being character reasons for taking that beyond just the mechanical.
I can see a Dr. Heckle, Dr. Hyde type of alchemist taking perfect mutagen for that reason.
Yeah. Well, to be fair to Dr. Jekyll and Mr.
J
Hyde,
is not pronounced like an H, actually.
Yeah. With the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, though, he's not nearly a 20th level crafter. That's for sure.
But this lets you have Dr. Hyde.
Yeah. Yeah, this lets you hide all the time without the crazy homicidal rampage.
Or are you Jekyll?
Manage 3 to will saves.
Or are you Jekyll all the time without the moral scruples?
I mean, you
that's the penalties. You don't have the penalties anymore.
You tell me, Adam. How did you view Ignatius and Siegfried?
Well, Ignatius was the main person, but Siegfried became his. There was very much a. This is part of me too. This is just another part of me that is more separated. It's like a personality had ripped itself apart from from Ignatius's current real personality, and they were both Ignatius, but one didn't want to be called Ignatius. One was Siegfried because.
Oh yeah, Siegfried literally represented Ignatius's subconscious.
So, which is why he
was so angry and instinctual.
Yeah, and why he loved Marina so just like utter devotion to her.
Maria. Yeah.
Maria. All right. Poison Panacea. It takes an action, but you direct a potent panacea through your body to wipe out poison within you. You attempt to counteract the lowest level poison affecting you with a counteract of 9. It only takes an action, so like if you got hit by that 13th level poison that we had, you would basically succeed. You just automatically succeed.
You would automatically.
You would automatically succeed, and you just basically puke it out.
You'd only be 2 higher. You get a plus 10 on it.
Remember, the 13 went down to like
7.
Rounded up, so 7. So you're 2 higher, so you automatically succeed.
Okay, so if your counteract is higher, you automatically succeed.
If your that's
true.
And if your counteract is 4 or more less, then you automatically fail.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. You're gonna be fighting like level 20 shit, but maybe it isn't as good, but like that still gives you a counteract as an action at a -5 of a level 20 creature.
Yeah, as an action, that's pretty good because it's just like that. Like that's not supposed to be there.
You just barf up some black ichor.
I could totally see.
Then we have universal empowerment. Your connection to alchemy is so strong that you have a connection to all alchemical items, no matter who devised them. Whenever you use an alchemical item with a bomb trait, it responds to you as if it were infused, and you were the one who created it. Whenever you use a mutagen, you also treat it as if it were infused and attuned to you.
Which
basically, you don't have to spend resonance to use them.
So you can just take people's shit.
Yeah.
And like, if you craft it on downtime, you would normally have to spend resonance to use it in the time being, and you don't anymore.
So you treat it as though it were created at your level?
So when you create things during downtime, they're not quote-unquote infused because you didn't throw resonance in them in the beginning, and you would have to spend resonance in them later. So you just stop spending resonance on alchemical items.
Yeah.
And it's not bad for 20th level, but I mean... It's because unless you're... Now, if you're in a game where you're finding a lot of alchemical items, and you're finding, like, you're fighting a group of evil alchemists or something, or you're going up against a group of alchemists, could be any alignment, and you're having to go against them and fight them, and you're picking up their stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm an alchemist, I'll use this, or my fighter needs this elixir of healing, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you pick that up, you can then loot that and have it as if you made it. Like that mutagen that they made, it can be as if you made it. For you. Not for anybody else, just for you. And while I see the value that's being proposed in the universal empowerment, I don't think that it is worth a level 20 feat.
Yeah, it seems more like level 18 to me.
18. Yeah, 16 or 18 would probably be better. Because at 16, you're going to get more use out of it. That's kind of my problem with the Philosopher's Stone, is you want to get your use out of it.
So I feel like our standout feats are probably Perfect Mutagen and either Philosopher's Stone or Universal Empowerment.
Yeah, depending. Yep, the best one is probably
depending on the campaign you're in. If it's really poison heavy, Poison Panacea is probably really good. But I think our main standout is ignoring the drawbacks from mutagens, which are more significant in second edition.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be a mutagen heavy alchemist.
All right.
And that is all of the Alchemist.
Yay! All right, it only took us a couple hours.
Playing for an hour plus.
Yep. And we are at 2 hours and 21 minutes.
Okay, so I guess we'll do some fucking audience engagement while we're here.
Yeah.
Something fishy this way swims. If you've made it this far, congratulations. I need to know, whose beard are you coming back for? It's important.
What?
This one needs to be trimmed.
No.
It is important because this one needs to be trimmed because it's getting out of fucking control again. I got fucking beard going down my neck.
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you, man. If they say it's you, then you gotta keep it.
I can't make me.
If it's me, if it's my
I'm
beard.
not even showing off my beard.
See?
I'm just saying. Yeah, Levi's not even here with his glorious fucking
facial hair.
We're not all the way up to glorious. Like that's a bit much.
But what if they shame us both,
You're
Kane?
not on camera, man. I can say whatever the hell I want about your beard.
What if they shame us both, Kane, and say that it's Colin that they're coming back for and his beard?
Oh well, then I question your taste. Eric Harrington. I have to question Eric Harrington. Are you in fact Eric Charrington, the beer manager I work with? One letter off. If you're not, thank you for the advice on the legendary bards. Since they're classified as expert in all recall and knowledge checks, that is very useful to me as I am playing Cashew. In the future, maybe that's not super useful now, but it's good to know for the future. Thank you very much for that little information dump. And AAA 1E 2 or 3. I know that you're also, I'm pretty sure, one of Tommy's patrons. You maybe Adam talked to you super briefly on this, but I agree with your thoughts about signature skills. As we've mentioned before, I think that that Paizo implementing a more building blocks-esque or modular style of play with the signature skills would be more advantageous, or maybe even just more satisfying.
Yeah.
And I know I threw this out in the comment section earlier already. Again, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for sticking with us for 2.5 many hours. Ian Emery, thank you so much for your kind words about our gaming videos. I don't know if you watch the Around the Hearths, but if you do, if you download them on your phone to listen to later, or if you just listen to them in your house when you're doing dishes or laundry, thank you so much for your consideration and your kind words about our content. It means the world to both myself and everyone here at the Interplanar Crossroads that you can see our content and enjoy it. So thank you once again from my real-time face to you, wherever the hell you are. Thank you so much to you, and of course also to everyone else who watches this content and supports it. We actually gained 2 subscribers, I think, just today.
Yep.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. 28 subscribers, bitch! It's almost breakfast time!
Yep, it's almost breakfast time. And that's all the spoiler we're going to give for what's going to happen at 400. So, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to everyone that Kane mentioned. We appreciate you stopping by and being with us again here at the Interplanar Crossroads. We hope you had a wonderful time. And as always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.